Hello there, just a quick 10 minutes before heading out for rehearsal for the night, so let's get to it then as we can for just a little bit of a micro. If we do not finish the chapter in that time, we'll get to it next time, but yeah, just a little 10 minutes here. So let's get to it. We'll head out straight to rehearsal tonight, figure out some of the good dynamics, things of that. Got our mics last night, the good stuff like that, looking good. Well, let's get to it then. We left off. The others tried to sleep. The moss was warm and soft, and they were exhausted after the harrowing fight. None of them wanted to fall asleep, but sleep took them gently in its arms. Anyway, to music accompaniment tomorrow or so, we'll get to our Lovecraft tale as well. So we shall see. Looking good for now, though. On to chapter 24 for just 10 minutes, actually 9 minutes now, so let's get to it. Looking good, and here it is. Chapter 24, Chinatown, Honolulu. 30th of October, 11:30 a.m. Lieutenant Dan Watanabe sat at a table in an eatery in downtown Honolulu, called the Deluxe Plate, holding a piece of Spam sushi in his fingertips. The sushi was a ball of fried rice wrapped in seaweed, with a chunk of Spam at the center. He took a bite. The seaweed, the fried rice, and the salty pork combined in his mouth into a taste that could be found nowhere but Hawaii. He savored it, chewing slowly. During World War II, whole shiploads of Spam had arrived in Hawaii to feed the troops. American soldiers had basically fought the war on Spam. Spam and an atomic bomb had guaranteed American victory. At the same time, the people of Hawaii had developed a passion for the canned pork product, a love that would never die. Dan Watanabe believed that Spam was brain food. He believed it could help him think more clearly about a case. Right now he thought about the missing Nanajan executive. The executive, Eric Jansen, had apparently drowned off Makapu'u Point, where his boat had stalled out and flipped in heavy surf. However, his body had not turned up. Plenty of white sharks cruised the Molokai Channel, the stretch of sea between Makapu'u Point and the island of Molokai. And the sharks could have eaten the body, but more likely the body should have washed up around Cocoa Head, since the prevailing winds and currents would carry it that way. Instead, it disappeared. Then, shortly after Eric's disappearance, his brother, Peter Jansen, showed up in Hawaii. And then Peter disappears. The Honolulu police had gotten a call from the chief security officer of Nanajan, Donald McKeel, who reported that 7 graduate students from Massachusetts had gone missing along with a Nanajan executive named Allison F. Bender. One of those students had been Peter Jansen. The students had been in employment discussions with Nanajan. All 8 persons, including the Bender woman, had gone out for the evening and never returned. Don McKeel's call had been taken by the Missing Persons Department in the Honolulu Police Department. The Missing Persons Detail in the Honolulu Police Department. A report had been written up, and it ended up in the Daily Highlights Bulletin that circulated throughout the department each morning. Watanabe, glancing over the highlights, had noticed it. So there were 2 missing Nanajan executives, Eric Jansen and Allison Bender, plus 7 students. 9 people tied to Nanajan, gone. Of course, people did go missing in Hawaii, especially young tourists. The surf could be very dangerous, or they went on a drinking binge, or they got so high on puna weed they seemed to forget their names. They hopped a flight to Kauai and went backpacking on the Naapali coast, and didn't tell anybody where they'd gone. But 9 people, all linked to Nanajan, from different places, doing different things, all missing. Dan Watanabe took a swig of black coffee and finished off his sushi. He had an unpleasant feeling mixed with a professional curiosity. He could almost smell it. It was a whiff of probable cause, a scent of unrevealed crime. "Refill?" the waitress, Misty, said to him, offering a coffee pitcher. "Thanks." It was Kona coffee, strong enough to put structure in one's afternoon. "Dessert, Dan. We got a haupia chiffon pie." Watanabe patted his stomach. "Gosh, no thanks, Misty. I just had my ration of Spam." Misty left the check on the table, and he stared out the window. An elderly Chinese woman passed by, hauling a wheelie basket full of her day's shopping, which included a fish wrapped in newspaper, the tail sticking out. A shadow raced down the street, darkening the people. A passing cloud, then hot sunlight flared, then another cloud shadow. As usual, the trade winds were driving rain and sunlight across Oahu. Rain and sun, endlessly marching over the island, and when you looked into the mountains, you often saw rainbows. He put on his sunglasses and walked back to police headquarters, taking his time, running his tongue over his teeth, trying to work out a Spam knot from between his molars. By the time he got back to his office, Watanabe had made up his mind. He had decided to open an investigation into Nanajan. Do it quietly. The matter was sensitive. Nanajan was a rich company with a high-profile CEO. The company might have political connections. Who knows? The Nanajan matter would take time away from his investigation into the bizarre case involving the 3 dead men, the lawyer, Willie Fong, the PI, Marcos Rodriguez, and the unidentified Asian male. The victims had bled to death from numerous cuts while they'd been inside Fong's locked office. Yeah, I remember that in the prologue. The Willie Fong mess, as he liked to call it, would have to go on hold. He wasn't getting anywhere with the Willie Fong mess anyway. At headquarters, Watanabe dropped by the office of his boss, Marty Kalama. "I want to look into these disappearances at Nanajan." "Why, Dan?" Kalama said, sitting back and blinking rapidly. Watanabe knew Kalama wasn't questioning his methods. Kalama just wanted to hear what he had in mind, his reasoning. Watanabe said, "First, I want to wait a short while and see if the missing people turn up. If they don't, I'll assemble a squad. But right now, I just want to do a little poking around on my own. Low pro." "You suspect criminal activity?" "I don't have probable cause, but things don't add up." "Okay," Kalama said. "Explain." "Peter Jansen, when I showed him a video of his brother, Eric, drowning, he seemed to recognize a female in the video who was a witness on the drowning. But then he, covers it up, says he doesn't know the woman. I think he was lying. Then I had a couple of my people visiting Nanajan to get info on Eric Jansen, the executive who drowned. My guys met the CEO named Drake. Drake was polite, but my guys said it was like a traffic stop when the subject is visibly nervous, but there's no obvious reason for him to be nervous. Maybe Mr. Drake was upset about losing his executive. Watanabe said it was more like he had a body in the trunk of his car. Marty Kalama squinted behind his rimless spectacles. "Dan, I'm not hearing about evidence." Watanabe pouted his stomach. "Gut. My Spam is talking to me." Kalama nodded. "Be careful." "About what?" "You know what Nanajan does, right?" Watanabe grinned. Oops, he hadn't yet looked into Nanajan's business. "They make small robots," Kalama went on. "Really small." "Okay, so a company like that could have contracts with the government. That's trouble." "You know something about Nanajan?" Watanabe asked his boss. "I'm just a cop. Cops don't know shit." Watanabe grinned. "I'll keep you out of it." "The hell you will," Kalama snapped. "Get out of here." He took off his glasses and polished them with a Kleenex, watching Dan Watanabe leave. The guy was quiet and smart, one of his best detectives. Those were the ones who created the worst trouble. The thing about trouble was that Marty Kalama kind of enjoyed it. That is actually it for chapter 24. Perfect timing, right on the 10-minute mark. I did not even know how long that chapter was, so that was absolutely universal alignment there, fortuitous. Good stuff for that. Alright, well, that will do it for now. I'm going to head to rehearsal, pick up Lovecraft Tale tomorrow at some point, maybe midnight if not earlier, but probably earlier. I guess we'll see. And that will be The Thing on the Doorstep. So we'll get to part 3 of that. And then chapter 25 of Micro awaits very soon. Alright, hope you enjoyed for now. And we'll pick it up here very short. Until then, catch you in a little bit. Signing off for now. See you tomorrow after rehearsal at some point, and we'll figure out good time. Further good streams, good fun, depending on copyright and director approval, things like that. We'll see. Alright, catch you in a bit, guys.